Episode 240, Exercise, How to Prioritize.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And it's Friday, finally. It's been an exhausting week, standing on ladders in the rain, in the brutal sun, building a barn. I would have never thought, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, hey, when are you going to build your first barn or whatever, I was going to be like, go fuck off. So anyhow, welcome to the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the entire universe or multiverse for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. Now, today's exercise is going to be short and sweet, and it's going to be about prioritization. That I think we're going to keep it to a monetary sense, and we're going to keep all the other good shit for an episode in the future. That's the correct English term that I was looking for. No, sentence actually, more than a term. So let's go briefly into the housekeeping thing. Sharing is caring. If you know someone that has problems with prioritizing, and we all do know someone. Plus, normally we're not too innocent ourselves of that. And that goes to say that please share this episode with those people directly through your podcast app, or go to the very best podcast in the world.com. And we have many shiny social media sharing buttons that you can press and share it far and wide. Far and wide, I mean, to all of your social feeds, simply because I have repeatedly now received in one very impressive email of someone who coincidentally came by an episode of ours and, changed their life. So, yeah, you're doing good. That's it, hands down. Item number 2, views my own, yada, 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 don't reflect, blah. And item number 3, major remodeling mode. Like I said, standing on ladders in the wind and the rain and the sun and, whatever else was there. And, building a barn. Anyhow, no, I will not show you pictures. It looks kind of ridiculous, but there we go. That being said, how did I get to this episode title? Well, I came across a meme. That's how it usually starts. When I was taking a dump. Yes, TMI, I know, but that's how most good ideas are born, at least amongst men. For the ladies, I know you got to be out of there very much quicker. I don't know what it is. It is this, I don't know, testosterone, whatever. No idea. No need for speculation. I gave you too much information. Apologies for that. Now, prioritizing stuff is insanely hard, right? Because there are so many factors to consider. And, while, for instance, you're doing X, it takes a little while. Let's just take cooking, because it's one of my most recent and, hobbies that I discovered, a few years ago, right? So, for instance, you want to make pizza. It's that simple. So you prep the dough, you mix it up, and then you gotta let it sit for an hour for the dough, for the yeast to really start working, blah, blah. And that's just an insane amount of time that you have, but you have to have had, Jesus, is that the correct country? I don't know. You have to have had prepared the dough in the past so that you can serve the pizza and put it in the oven at the right amount of time to serve it in. However, you're going to have an hour's worth of time that, you need to spend somehow. Now, if you have been in the garden and you've got dirty hands or whatever, there's no need to go back into the garden, because you're going to have to wash up again, to keep all the kitchen hygienic standards and whatever. So, what else is there to do that you can do without getting your hands dirty or filthy to a degree where you wouldn't want to touch food, right? And all those kind of things. So prioritizing is totally difficult. But what you prioritize and invest in today will determine your tomorrow. Right? Let that sink in. This was just, the example I gave you was rather stupid, but it proves a point. Prioritization takes place everywhere. And today we're just going to go through, 2-3 examples of that to just make a point about today's world and how prioritization can be off for a lot of people. Remember, in the housekeeping, share this episode. So, there is the $50 expenses that you have for healthy groceries, right? What do you buy? You spend $100 on crap that you put into yourself, just because it's quicker, it's more convenient. I can get more done. No, you can't. It's costing you so much energy that, it's rather difficult actually to get up. Plus, processing food is totally this totally grand experience. You are in touch with what you ate and it's not processed and it doesn't have, well, I don't know about that entirely, but most of my food doesn't have chemicals in it. There are no additives, no preservatives, no, whatever. I just take, a zucchini, cut it, fry it, and I take a piece of ham or sausage that I got, from the slaughterhouse or, that kind of ordeal. I'm pretty good at sourcing food. So that's the point though, right? You're not willing to spend $50 or less money on groceries that you have to process yourself. Instead, you spend double the money on something that's pre-processed, has tons of shit in it where we don't know what the effects are in 100 years or 50 on your body. And, there we go. Right. However, you've got those $50 to spend on a fancy dinner date where, again, you don't know where the food in the restaurant is coming from. It's about the ambiance. It's about, the cuddling up. However, just take it that way. If you take those $50, get unprocessed food and prepare a meal together with someone, right? Make it not a dinner date, but a cooking date. It's insanely fun. Right? It's insanely, it's just this great social experience between each other, prepping the meal that you're going to share, right? Think about that next time you go shopping or you're planning a date or something. Another interesting example is the $1,300 question, whether you should buy the newest model iPhone or do you want to start a business? Right now, I shit you not, there are plenty of opportunities out there where you can get started for $1,000, maybe $2. Right? Most of us think of companies like these gazillionaire enterprises that are out. No, that's way too much. That's way too far in the future. And all of those people started out in their garage, putting their business plans on a napkin, that kind of ordeal. But they had the idea and they got it on the road with very limited funding. And that's what, starting a business is about. Or, do you buy the newest iPhone, right? And then your money is gone. You're not going to be able to start a business to have this great instrument, which could make your business easier, right? And that's what I'm essentially, that's the point I'm trying to make here. It's about how do you prioritize correctly? And that's where it's your turn to go into yourself and see, what money you could spend more wisely to make your life better, to increase your quality of life, and, maybe get to financial freedom a lot faster than you would by spending that money on something as bizarre as, an iPhone, right? So, one last thing, maybe the same applies for time. It's, I mentioned repeatedly that this is the time to learn new skills, and you will be required, goddammit, to have those in the near future. There's great, demise, is that, whatever. There's great economic turmoil ahead of us. So you have to have a shitload of skills to be able to make ends meet. And, so instead of binging Netflix this weekend, maybe your new skill is to prioritize correctly and, go inward and look and write down things which you, more or less regularly prioritize poorly, and to then change those prioritizations towards something where you can actually benefit from long term. So in that sense, I hope I was able to get the point across. Hope you have a lot of fun reflecting upon yourself, looking into your deepest abysses and waking the demons and killing them by prioritizing correctly. So, and in that sense, and while you do that, have a nice and relaxing weekend, and we'll be in touch next week for all new episodes. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.